Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I will apologise about my voice, first of all. Just like most people, 2 hours of shouting at a TV screen last night, feeling quite hoarse. Although you'll be pleased, Madam Deputy Speaker, that's the only reference I'll make to football today. It's actually a delight to follow the Honourable Member. Whilst I share a lot of the concerns that he has in regards to this particular bill, I come to a very different conclusion, which is why I'm rising to support the bill. This, to me, Madam Deputy Speaker, goes a long way to actually protect our freedom of speech on university campuses. It's absolutely right that healthy debate, and I emphasise that word healthy, is encouraged and facilitated, and opinions challenged, but in a safe environment. In recent years, we've seen a growing concern of harassment, abuse, and intimidation on our university campuses, from blatant anti-Semitism espoused by lecturers to imposing security costs on Jewish student societies at their events, and no platforming external speakers. Not all students and staff feel able to express themselves without fear of repercussions, particularly those Jewish students on campus. During the latest round of violence between Israel and Hamas, Jewish students faced anti-Semitic abuse and even death threats almost on a daily basis. A Jewish student at Glasgow University was told to go gas herself, and a Jewish student at UCL was sent a picture of herself photoshopped under a guillotine. The NUS blamed Israel for the rise in anti-Semitic incidents before backtracking, and it's absolutely abhorrent that our universities have failed to protect our Jewish students and that students do not even feel protected by the NUS. I will give way.
I thank the Honourable Member for giving way, and I'm interested in the specific examples that he's raising, because surely this bill would actually promote and protect the right of the people to make exactly the kinds of abhorrent remarks that he's talking about, making Jewish students less safe on campus. How does he reconcile this aspect of his speech with his support for the bill?
I thank the Honourable Member for her contribution. Unfortunately, I do disagree with her, and as we've already heard from the Education Secretary himself in his opening remarks, that wouldn't be the case. So going back to my contribution, Madam Deputy Speaker, it should be a source of shame for all of us and for every university that Jewish societies often keep their event locations secret due to concerns about safety of students. So we simply cannot turn a blind eye to the fact that our Jewish students do not feel safe on campuses here in the United Kingdom. Last year, Bristol Student Union asked for a fee of £500 to safeguard an event with former Ambassador Mark Regev. This was not an isolated incident, and it should not be down to students to provide security for themselves. As I've said before, universities have not just a moral obligation, but a duty to ensure that all students are protected. This must extend to securing events and putting a stop to no platforming once and for all. And it's not just pro-Israel speakers that have been no platform. Indeed, we've had a former Home Secretary no platform from going and speaking at events previously as well. Okay. So it's absolutely crucial that the government commits to ensuring that this legislation does not become a shield for those who wish to endorse poisonous views, including, as has been mentioned many times, Holocaust deniers and far-right and far-left extremists. Universities must be a safe space for all students, and institutions must take their duty of care seriously. After a great deal of encouragement from the Secretary of State and others, over 100 institutions have now adopted the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. And this is a crucial step in ensuring that universities take accusations of anti-Semitism seriously. And what I am encouraged with this bill is that whilst IHRA is now being adopted, this actually gives some teeth to actually implementing it, because far too often do we see a lack of implementation. And again, I refer honourable members to what's going on in Bristol University at the moment. In regards to what's happening, we've just, very recently indeed, just last month, the University of Warwick Assembly passed a motion to actually challenge the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. So the University of Warwick, and I'm sure the Shadow Minister will hopefully address that in his wrap-up, has failed to condemn the motion despite calls from Jewish students to actually do so. So the Union of Jewish Students rightly asked, how can we claim they want to fulfil moral duty to protect all members, which includes Jewish students, when this motion clearly disregards the wants and needs of those particular students? Could I therefore ask the Minister what further steps the Government is taking to not only ensure that these definitions are being rolled out across all institutions, but it's fully implemented? And what more can be done to ensure that academics face disciplinary action for making remarks or supporting motions considered to be anti-Semitic under the definition? And I refer again to Professor Miller in that regard. And lastly, will the Minister join with me in condemning the incident in which the University of Bristol sought to impose security costs on a student society for daring to invite the former ambassador for Israel? And can she confirm that this bill will actually help to stop repeat incidents of this nature? Although this bill actually delivers on our manifesto commitment to strengthen academic freedom and free speech in higher education, universities must now follow up and ensure that campuses are truly open to rigorous, healthy contestation of ideas or be held accountable. We cannot rest until all students feel safe on campus.